So the past week, in Texas, if anyone who lives in Texas knows that there was a bunch of, flood warning, high wind, multiple tornadoes touching down, and I'm still getting news of more tornadoes. I think last week, one of my contractor for my lake house, he took a picture. He was like, "Yeah, a tornado is coming." I'm like, "Oh, thanks, appreciate that." Right? Don't hit my lake house, please. But I'm driving back. So I came back from vacation. I'm driving through in my neighborhood. I see trees still down, like they still trying to clean that up. I'm talking about big branches and trees snapping, right? Like trees falling on cars, on people's houses, windows broken. And I'm hearing things like I'm seeing pictures from friends talking about entire houses being gone, right? Half a house being gone, blown away by a random tornado, which is crazy, right? That's what you deal with in Texas. But it's okay. My wife doesn't like it. She's like, I'm moving away. And I'm like, where are you gonna go? You go to California, you deal with earthquakes and a bunch of homeless people. You go to the East Coast, you deal with winter blizzards and hurricanes. That's not fun, right? You go to Canada, it's Canada, right? There's a lot of winters. It's cold. So you're gonna be dealing with Canada. And so it's not like it's perfect anywhere you go. But the truth is, all these events, all these things that are happening, um, it's been happening for a while. All these storms happens for a while. I remember 5 years ago, Christmas Eve, when I was in Texas, when I was in Dallas. I think it was a 5, 6 years ago. And during Christmas Eve, like there was this big storm, this big tornado that came down and literally like this Garland, Texas, if you guys don't know, I mean, you can look it up, but there's this big tornado. It was like maybe like F4 or something. I don't know. It was huge. And it literally wiped out a good chunk of the city. And I was investing in real estate at the time. So I went down there. I was hoping to buy houses, but all I saw was foundation. Like literally houses were gone. The whole house was ripped off the foundation. I'm like, maybe I'll buy that lot. I was there for investment purposes, but I was like, geez, this sucks. And then I end up volunteering and trying to clean up some of the properties in the neighborhood because, tornadoes happen. This is not new. This is pretty consistent, but the thing is, storm don't just come once. Storm happens all the time. And I just want to bring up that storms happens in our life all the time, right? I just want to share a little bit with you today because I was trying to reflect on what is a good story to share, right? So I came upon this entrepreneur named Chris Gardner. A lot of you guys might not know who he is or not familiar with him, but so I'll tell you a little bit about him and his situation. So he's a successful entrepreneur, best-selling author, speaker, motivational speaker, a multimillionaire businessman, founded his own company, but he wasn't always this way. He wasn't always successful. He wasn't always rich, or wealthy. So he grew up in Louisiana to a single mom. Um, he went through poverty. I mean, it was hard, obviously, a single mom, kids, you know, abusive relationship growing up as a child, alcoholic father. So a lot of hardship, right? A lot of instability. And one of the things he was growing up was that really inspired him going through all this hardship, his mom, single mom, also going through hardship as well. One of the things that his mom always told him that inspired him was, son, you can do anything that you want to do or be. And, he believed that. And going through all those challenges, you would think a child growing up not going to be successful, right? It already set a path for you to kind of see a person that will end up probably going to jail, hooked on drugs, maybe become traumatized by this event and maybe go down the wrong path. But he was able to get out of that. And so he joined the US Navy. So he joined the military. After leaving the military, he became a father and he worked as a medical equipment salesman. And during that time, he had a girlfriend and then had a kid, a son. And they were living in San Francisco at the time. And during this time, he was in medical sales and, just trying to provide for his family, for his son. And then he met a well-dressed guy in a red Ferrari. So anyone who's seen a red Ferrari or a nice fancy car, you're like, hey, that guy is doing well, right? it was back then in the 80s, so he grew up in the 80s. And so when you see somebody with a nice car, you're like, man, he must be doing well. He's doing something right. And so he talked to this fella in this red Ferrari and asked him what he did for a living. Obviously, the old school way. There was no YouTube camera pointing at him. And he just asked him what he did, and they had this conversation about this man's career. And long story short, he was like, I'm a stockbroker. This is what I do. This is how I make my money. And so Chris decided to pursue this path in finance. And you think everything is great, right? You know, going through training. He signed up for all these training to go into finance, to be a stockbroker, learn how to invest money for the company. And along the way, this is a non-paid internship, by the way. Along the way, a series of bad decisions, maybe unfortunate events, lead him to become homeless, right? And his kid to become homeless. So apparently he parked his car while he was doing the training, got some parking tickets actually, and he didn't pay the parking tickets, and he got thrown in jail. And when he was in jail for 10 days, his girlfriend decided to leave. So they separated. And so he came back 10 days later. His apartment was empty. His kid was gone. And now he's like, what's next? You know, I don't have a job anymore. My medical sales job's not paying me enough. And so he had no money to pay rent, no money for food. And so he was struggling. And eventually his son came back. You know, he was able to get custody of his son. And so now he's taking care of his son, no money for daycare, no money for food, and he was homeless. And during the process of trying to finish this training program, non-paid internship to be a full-time stockbroker, you know, he was sleeping on floors, you know, in his at his workplace. He was sleeping in motels, parks. They were sleeping in airports. They were sleeping in like public transportation. He was sleeping in bathroom at the train station, like the DART station, or like the you know, just the public transportation station. There's locked bathroom. He was sleeping that with his son. So just imagine that, like you're trying to pursue your dreams or pursue a better life, and you end up being homeless. You end up losing what you were working towards. You know, you wake up one day and you're like, I don't want to be poor, but this is where I am, right? Like that's the kind of the hardship of the storm that some of us might not be facing, but there are people that have went through that. And so after 1 year of just hardship, homelessness, struggling, challenges and adversity, he was able to work through that and was able to get a full-time job working for Bear Stearns, some of the big investment company, and eventually worked himself out of homelessness. Yeah. Great story, right? After a year, but you don't know when that storm is going to be over for you. For him, he went through that for a year. And years later, you know, after working, getting out of that hardship, putting in all the work, he was able to start his own brokerage firm, you know, out of his apartment. He built a multi-million-dollar firm. And I'm pretty sure you're wondering, like, who is this guy? Well, if you've seen the movie, The Pursuit of Happiness, if anyone ever seen that movie, that's the guy. Will Smith played him. And if you guys not familiar with the story, you can go watch the movie. It's an interesting story. Maybe there's a little bit more dramatization out of it, but that's what it is. Like, that's real hardship. Like, why am I sharing that story? Because, you know, we all gonna have some storms in our life. And, you know, what is a storm? A storm is just a period in your life that represents some big challenges. There's some big adversity, some hardship, some conflict, maybe some change, some transformation, maybe a job opportunity, a growth opportunity, relationship challenges, maybe something that's testing your faith, or maybe a period of uncertainty. Honestly, a lot of people are struggling with uncertainty, like not knowing what's going to happen next. And that could be a storm in your life. And you know, some storms you can't control. It might not be your decision. It could be something that's you have not decided. Like it could be just a random thing that happened. It could be a health situation, a family hardship. Your parents might be sick. Who knows? Cancer. All of these things are out of your control sometimes, but some things are within your control and some things are not, but they will come. Either way, I just want to remind you guys that a storm will come. Either way, either if you like it or not, and I live that life every single day. Like every day I think about that sometimes. Well, every day I pray that, hey, just give me the strength to prepare for a storm that's coming. I don't know what it may be. And I just really want to share with everyone here that everyone is struggling. It doesn't matter how much money you make. It doesn't matter how much money you don't have. Um, Everybody got some struggle, some storms that they're going through, no matter who you are, where you currently, what financial situation you're currently in. A storm is always going to be coming, no matter what. It's interesting because I have a friend, they do really well. But I mean, I'm just like, why are you having this struggle, like a lack of purpose, a lack of a certainty when they do so well? Like we're talking about, double digit millions here every year. Like it's on a consistent basis. And every time I speak with my buddy, it's like a sense of uncertainty, right? They fear something because they worry that a storm is coming and they let that storm consume them. That uncertainty, control their mindset overall. Either way, I'm just saying that it doesn't matter what position you're in life, where you are, there's always going to be something that is going to be hard. There's going to be adversity that comes. And I'm not trying to be negative, okay? We're not trying to be negative here. I'm not being negative, but I'm just really talking about preparing for the adversity so that you can handle it better, right? You don't have to be fake. So don't be fake. But hey, yeah, nothing's gonna happen. My life is good. Everything's great. Everything is awesome. If you guys seen the Lego movie, everything is awesome when it's not. Right? We don't have to be. I'm not trying to be negative, and I'm not trying to say, hey, be fake. Be honest and real, but have faith for a better future. That's really what I'm referring to. And instead of saying, hey, nothing's going to happen, expect that something will happen. And start thinking about ways to plan for it and prepare for it. Because either you're trained and prepared to face a challenge, or you're not doing anything at all, and then a challenge comes, and now you're just like freaking out. And you get consumed by it, you get taken over by it. All right, so today I just kind of want to share a few things that help me think about how to overcome a storm or prepare for a storm, because storms don't go away. You just get through a storm, right? Things don't go away. You just get through it. And then another one comes and another one comes. So you just get through it. So the first thing is acknowledge that situation and events, hard situation, events, storms will come. So just acknowledge that. Don't live in denial. Just be honest and say, hey, I'm pretty sure something's going to happen in my life that's going to be hard. Like 100%, we will all die one day. So stop living in la la land and say that I'm not going to die. I mean, if you got the secret sauce, I'll buy it from you for $1 million, and I'll pay you whatever you want, because I'm trying to get there too. But that's 100% true right there, because you will die one day. Your parents will pass away one day. My parents will pass away one day. My parents will have challenges, and those things are real. Don't deny it. Be aware of it and say, hey, this is going to happen. What am I doing to prepare for that? Let's be honest. We all going to face something hard. If it's not now, it will be later. It's just a matter of when. Nothing positive. Remember, don't have a negative mindset about it either. This is about acknowledging and not living in denial, but don't have a negative mindset and let it consume you, right? Because nothing positive comes from negativity. If you're negative all the time, like, oh my God, this is what's going to happen. I'm going to die, or I'm going to lose my job. This is going to happen, blah, 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 blah. Nothing positive come out of that. Negativity breeds more negativity. So if you're negative, like nothing positive ever happen, there's nothing positive ever comes from negativity. So just remember that. But be aware. So number one thing is be aware and acknowledge that there will be something hard that's coming, and That way you start preparing yourself, right? And that leads up to number 2, start preparing for the storm. Are you training with intention and purpose? Are you practicing certain skills to help you prepare? Like I used to train. So it's a silly thing. In my 20s, I was training so that I can pick up women, so I can look better for women. That's the truth. Most men go to the gym for the purpose of attracting a mate. That's the truth of it. And most women go to the gym for that same reason. You're lying to yourself if you're saying that I'm going there because I want to feel good, right? There's a reason why we go to the gym. We just want to look good so that we can attract a mate. And that's what I was doing in my 20s. And a lot of men was doing that too. But today I train differently. I train for my health. We didn't train for our health back then. Everybody talks about being healthy and stuff like that, but that's not true. Back then we were training for a different purpose, but now I'm more intentional about why I train. And the same thing as training for my health. If I go to the shooting range, I'm training to be able to pull the trigger in the right place. If I have to shoot somebody who's trying to, go into my house unauthorized, I make sure it's a one shot kind of thing, right? I'm not a big, I'm a gun guy. So if you guys are not big on guns, that's okay too. But hey, you're in America, you're allowed to have guns. But if I'm training to protect my family, that's really what I'm doing. When I shoot guns, I'm not shooting for fun. I'm shooting to train for the purpose of protecting my family, right? That's intention. So for you, what are you training to prepare yourself for a storm? If you are worried about financial struggles, are you training financial management, budgeting? Are you training skills to look at spreadsheets, P&Ls, balance sheet? Are you training yourself for that? I'm not talking about taking a CPA course. You don't need to do all that. Go on YouTube, learn about how to manage your finances, learn how to set a budget, learn about how to, grow your investment, your savings. Right? Are you growing your skills and knowing how to make money online? Are you growing your skills on how to hire people, manage people? Like if you have a business and you're not training to grow your skills, how can you prepare for a storm that's coming? Like for me, I know in business, I'm gonna get sued by somebody. I've been sued before in the past. That sucked. I didn't know that was going to happen. I'll tell you a quick story of what happened. So I didn't know about trademark infringement. I didn't know about this back then. We were just making money, started a business, make money. 5 years later, or maybe 4 years later, I got sued by another company saying that I infringed on their trademark. It was a silly thing, the dumbest thing I've ever heard, but through that lawsuit, I was unprepared. We were stressed, couldn't sleep at night, lost money, was inexperienced in the whole thing. We're talking about, I mean, $20,000-$30,000 a month. I end up calling the guy and settling for like 300 grand or something like that. And we lost potential to generate $1 million on that one Amazon listing that we got taken down because we were fighting. And so I was prepared. But now because of that experience, I'm like, okay, man, let's make sure my trademark is in line. Let's prepare. Let's get a legal team in place so that I know how to protect myself. Like those things will happen. Like when you go into business and you're like, I'm never going to get sued ever in my life. That's wrong. You will. When you open up a restaurant, somebody's going to come in there and be like, hey, I got sick from your food. And it might not be you. There might be one of those people that lied. And that happened to me. When I first opened up my restaurant, I'll tell you one more thing. This thing is the craziest thing. This family came in. I'm not going to say who, what, demographic. I'm not going to go into that detail, okay? But they came in, they ate. We just opened. It was a soft opening at this Wingstop. And they ate it. They took it to go, ate it, came home, came back, like, I got sick. And I was like, what? What do you mean you got sick? Oh, I had to take my son to the hospital. What are you going to do about it? And I'm like, what do you mean what are we going to do about it? Like, and then they threatened me, they threatened me, like, I'm going to take you to court. And I was new at this, so I ended up like, okay, I'll pay for your medical bill. And it was like a couple $1,000. It wasn't a lot, but I didn't know. I thought people were nice, but people are not nice. Remember, guys, people are not nice out there. Not everybody are like everyone here who have a generous heart, who cares and who value other people, who wants to do the right thing. Like we want to do the right thing to people, right? We want to serve people. We want to give our best to people and want to help people, but not everybody like that out there. So prepare for the storm. And what I mean by that is, what are you doing? Are you training your faith muscle? Instead of training your fear muscle, you train your faith muscle. Having faith is just believing that your future will be better, that God will give you a better future. That's really what it is. Having faith is just believing for unforeseen future that will be better. But when you train your fear muscle all the time, like, oh my God, this will happen, oh my goodness, my life will be over every single day, every single moment, every single week. You're training your fear muscle. And I get it. Some of us grew up in a place that brought a lot of fear into us. We got to let that go. We got to start changing and training certain things that will be beneficial for us to prepare. If you go to church, go to church more, get involved, surround yourself with people who can help you lift up your faith, listen to testimony, like, transformation. Like my friend who had cancer, she told me, like, she was just like, dude, this lady, this woman, strong woman, she found out she got lung cancer. Everything just worked out right. Got the lung ripped out. But before she got the lung ripped out, she was just like, man, I'm gonna just have faith in God. Just have faith that everything will work out for my good. And you know what? She went to Japan after she got the lungs ripped out. A few weeks later, she was able to go on her Japan trip with her husband. They had a great time. She didn't have any struggle with walking or just exploring. I was like, dude, this is crazy. And that really helped me see, like, oh, she has strong faith. She was calm in this storm, this health storm, uncertain times. So you got to start thinking about, what are you training? What are you preparing yourself with intention? What are you doing right now to prepare yourself? Right? You got to think about that. If you don't, you're going to be unprepared, and then you're going to end up struggling through the storm instead of like prepare for the storm to fight. Number 3, I think about, do you have a shelter for the storm? Who's your support system? Where do you feel safe? A shelter is really a place you feel safe. Like, who can you help out? Who can you reach out for help that you trust? Are you reaching up to God, to your community, to anyone? Because it's always the hardest sitting outside in the rain by yourself. It's the hardest. Have you ever been outside in the rain and the cold by yourself? It's very hard. It's 10 times harder than having somebody next to you to do it with. And that's one of those things where, especially for men, I'm gonna be honest, the number 1 killer of men is suicide. Why? Because they're doing it alone. I don't know about women. I didn't look into that. But for men, because I'm talking to the men here, it's like they do it alone. And so the struggle that they go through, they don't have anybody to support them. And I recommend, for all of us here anyway, for men and women, is that you got to have your team to support you, because everybody go through struggle. So where do you shelter from the storm? Like, who is there to support you, to help you? You don't need 10 people. You don't need 5. You just need 2 or 3, 1 maybe, because you only need 1 to help you overcome and get through it. That's all you need. The last thing, you got to go through the storm. So remember Chris Gardner? During the entire process, the man is homeless. He's always moving. He's always taking action. He's pursuing this career. He's keep making sales call. He's trying to make money. He's finding a place to sleep. He's standing in food pantry line, looking for another bathroom to sleep in, looking for a more comfortable place. Always moving. Are you taking action? Are you moving? If you stay in one place, you curl up into a ball and you cry yourself to sleep, and you're not taking action, you're not doing anything different, you're going to be in that storm. You're going to be in that storm longer than you need to. So a process of taking action is reaching out for help. A process of taking action is trying to solve the problem by figuring out what is the next step you can take, planning out the next action item. Right? A process of taking action is doing research. A process of taking action is talking to someone that can help you. So all of that is a way for you to move out of the storm, move through it. So when you give up, the storm will just continue to be there. You're just going to sit in it. But if you don't give up and you keep moving, you'll get out of it and things will be brighter. And that's the thing. Like we see a story of 1 year that he went through it. It took him 1 year to get through it. Some of us, it might take 2 or 3 years. Some of us might take 6 months. We don't know how long it's going to last, but the sooner we take action on that so that we can move through the storm, the faster we get out. And this is just a reminder. I just want you guys to remember that the storms will always go away no matter what happened. They will always go away and another one will come. But, storms don't last forever. But if you continue, remember, if you continue to make the poor choices, like sit in the storm and like, okay, let's just pray that this thing will go away. Let's just wish that this thing will go away. It's not going to go away. You have to take some action. And don't be those guys, like those guys on the Weather Channel, all right? Like, go chasing after tornadoes. Like if you're those people, you're going to keep getting into storms. If you've seen the show Tornado Chaser or on YouTube, those guys driving around looking for tornadoes to film and enjoy. They enjoy that stuff. Some people enjoy being in a storm. I don't. I want to get out the way. I want to move away from that. So if you guys are here today, it's just a reminder. All right. Those steps, within those steps, move through the storm, find the shelter, find the people that can support you, prepare for it. And just acknowledge that it will happen. Like you don't know what's going to happen. Like things might not work out as planned. But what is the action you will take if it doesn't work out? So learn from your past decision. Learn from the storm in the past. Get prepared for the storm now. That's coming. That's potentially coming. Just get prepared. Don't be boggled down by the burden, but just get prepared. Like think about what the action you will take. And for me, like one of my fears of a storm that comes is like, hey, I made a bad decision and I lose all my money because I'm in business. Business is like that. Right? You can either go work a 9-to-5 job and then 20 years later you get fired by your employer, right? Your company can fire you. And you're like, oh shoot, what do I do now? For us in business, it's you'll be working in this business for XYZ and then you jump to a new business and then you made a bad business decision. Boom, everything's gone. And what do you do? Well, for me, here's my process. I always acknowledge that could happen. I always remind myself that could happen. And I tell my wife that could happen too. And that's just honesty out of it. Like, that's the reality. Like, it doesn't matter how good my decisions are. It doesn't matter how good your decisions are either. Because you can put 99% of the work, 99% of the research, 99% of the effort. There's also that 1% of luck from God that will bless you with the success, right? That 1%, but you have to put in the 99% of your effort to get that 1% luck. And I always acknowledge that sometime my decision might not be right, and it's okay. And hey, I made a lot of bad decisions. I learned from them. And the more decisions you make, the more you learn and the better your decisions become. And so you get close to that 99% good decision. And I always, because of that, I prepare myself. Like, what can I learn? What can I improve? What are the skills that is needed? Like selling skills, marketing skills. Those are skills that is needed to grow a business. Operation, hiring people, managing people. Those are the skills that are very important to me that I believe will grow a strong business, a successful business. And then who am I? Like for me, I have a strong group of men that I connect with every single week. Entrepreneur men, from different places: sales business, solar business, ecom business, online training business, just investment business, all kind, real estate business. They're all in different areas of business. They all have struggles. I know that because I talk to them every day. They all got some struggle: relationship struggle, health struggle, death struggles, financial struggles. Some might not be successful than others. Some super successful still go through some struggles, right? And they're the people that I can connect with. And you know what happened? And I tell myself, if I lose everything, I'm just like, I'm gonna go work for you. Just hire me. I'll help you grow your business. Just pay me. Because remember, you guys have the skills. We are building a skill. You can take this skill and apply it somewhere else. And honestly, the truth is, when you go through struggles and challenges and adversities and storms, it creates creativity. It develops your creativity of problem solving. Problem solving is a creativity skill. And so when you know how to solve problems, you can carry that into a business. A business is just another way to solve a problem. If you go to an employer, you need a job, you're solving the employer's problems. That's really it. That's what they have a problem. They need you to come in and solve that problem. And that's why they pay you. And then for me, that's how I move through the storm, because I have men that helps me get through the storm. I have a community and I take action. I reach out, I ask for help. I'm not ashamed, right? We live in so much shame sometimes. We don't want to reach out because, hey, we look bad. We made a bad decision. So we feel bad. Like I tell my friends all the time, like, dude, I just lost, like, I'm down 90%. I invested $250,000. I'm down 90%. That was a not so great decision, right? But I share with them, and there's no shame behind that, because we all make mistakes. We all made bad decisions. Just because I have more money or I've been in business longer doesn't mean that the bad decision doesn't happen. It's just I moved past that and I figure out a way to do something else. I invest at a higher level because I have the funds to do it. You invest at your level because of the funds that you have in your ability, but all of us will make decisions, and sometimes those decisions will not be good. And it's okay. Don't be ashamed of it. So I share that with all my my friends, and you know what? They give me feedback like, what did you do? Did you think about it? Were you just being greedy? And I'm like, yeah, kind of. It was a bad decision because I was greedy, right? Expecting some crazy returns. Right? Don't be greedy. That's just okay. Remember this. Don't be greedy. Don't ever make quick decisions because, hey, somebody's promising you 50% return month to month. All right. That's a bad decision. I was just greedy at the time. So then those are the lessons I've learned. Like, they ask me those questions. It's like, okay, hey man, I'm not saying, like, don't be ashamed of it. We all make bad decisions. And the shame is really what stops you from growing. So be humble and say, hey, I made this decision. Like, how could I do this better? Can you guys give me some advice? And then you start learning how to ask for advice before you make decisions. And if you are surrounded by friends that are not giving you the right advice, or maybe they're not in the position of their life where you can lean into them, then go out and start seeking other people that can help you with that. I don't want to go on too long about that topic, but at the end of the day, what I'm really trying to say is, like, we got to get through it with the right people. Got to be prepared for it. You got to not be in denial. Don't live in denial. It's real. Storms and challenges and struggle are real, and they will come. Okay. And we can all get through it. It's just, we got to have the right mindset to get through it. That's really it. You just got to have the right mindset to get through it. And you got to think positively, because nothing good come out of negativity anyway. Nothing positive come out of negativity. I just want to remind everybody that. Have a positive mindset. Start from within. That's how you get through things.